Well, good morning, guys. Hope you're having a great start to your day, and we much appreciate you guys as joining us live when you can. We appreciate that, and thank you for coming on with us. And we got a few little things we want to talk about this morning. Brahim, Sandy, Fergus Falls, Minnesota, Andrea, Niagara Falls, good morning. Brahim is drinking his coffee from Portland, Oregon, bright and early out there. Eric, salut, mon chum. Janice, Brampton. Michael, Norland. And Nativity, good morning. And Kathy from Port Perry, how are you? Fran from Orangeville. And Nick from our staff, good morning. Kevin, there he is from Oshawa. And Jeanette, how are you? Shelley from Saskatchewan. Wendy from Markham. And Jeanette de Kapuskasine. Guylaine, bonjour. And Gary from Bolton, how are you? Johanna, how are you? And Barbara from Kansas. We love having you on. Rose, Peterborough. Maria from Ottawa. And Danny, good morning. And Dave, how are you? Muskoka. Sandy from Chilliwack, British Columbia. Nellie, how are you? And Diane from LaSalle. And Rosalinda from the Kidneys of Canada, Niagara Falls. Sandy, Vancouver, Washington. Arlene, how are you? And Georgie, Halifax, Nova Scotia. And Joanne. And Carol, West Virginia. Judy, how are you? And David from Ridgeway. Roma, Brampton, how are you? Diane Zell from the Philippines. Herma, Burlington. Judy, Newfoundland. John, how are you? And Wendy from London. And Susan, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. Donna, how are you? And Elaine from Richmond Hill. Cecilia, good morning. And Rita from New Brunswick. Cheryl, in the cloud, she says. Maureen, Penticton, British Columbia. Donna from Newfoundland, good morning to you. Francis from Vaughan. Couple of more guys and we'll get going. Karen from Little Britain. Caroline from Kincardine, and boy, about 10 went by there up in the clouds. Elaine and Barbara, good morning. Carol, Mount Pearl, Newfoundland. And Donna, how are you? Bell Valley. Kathy, Simcoe. Two more. Milika, she said I missed her. I didn't mean to. And was that Marty? Nina, how are you? Shirley. And Bonnie. Okay. Let's look at a few studies that I flagged, some of them right over the weekend, but we were talking about, and I posted this, by the way. Okay, I posted the study done on more and more young women are getting breast cancer. And according to the research, one of the reasons is they're calling it early puberty. So the earlier that a young girl starts puberty, the more her risk for breast cancer goes up, according to research. Now, is that surprising to us at the Martin Clinic? No. We're not surprised. I don't know how many times a week I mention this, that we're not winning the war on cancer at all. We're getting shellacked when it comes to cancer. Cancer rates are higher than ever. And we're in the fall, so this is, breast cancer month, and is it? I don't know. I can't remember which month is which, but I know there's a lot of funding or raising of funds for cancer research. All sounds good. Who's against fighting cancer? We're all want to win the war. But, you know, here we are, and we never change. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. Because, as you guys know, we're not into prevention of cancer. We're into detection of cancer. And now we're getting research that shows, oh, breast cancer is worse than ever. And it's in younger women more than ever. Hello? Hello out there? Yeah. And, you know, here's what they're saying, okay? Here's what this study, if you look at the research, and they're saying, look, girls that start puberty younger are more susceptible. Well, okay, why is that? Estrogen. I remember 2 or 3 times when I was in practice, 8-year-old girls, 8, come into the office and they're 8. And they started developing already. They started menses already. And these poor young girls, they didn't know what hit them. They didn't understand that. And, you know, imagine having a period at 8 years old. I felt sorry for them. But, you know, I used to tell the mothers, well, they're so estrogen dominant. It's crazy. Well, we live in a world where estrogen is everywhere. What do I mean by that? Xenoestrogens. Things that your body thinks is estrogen. Now that affects men too in a different way. But in women, no wonder we have so much breast cancer. And you know what bugs me? I'll tell you what bugs me. I used to get women come to me after they've been diagnosed with cancer, and they said, I said, well, you got too much estrogen. And the oncologist or whatever, the pathologist would say, yeah, but your cancer cells are not estrogen receptive. I don't know how many times I heard that. And I would tell a lady, you know, in front of me, I said, you want to bet your boots that your cancer cells are estrogen receptive? Of course they are. Now, they may not be as receptive as some other, another woman that's, you know, they got, estrogen receptive cancer. All cancer is estrogen receptive. Every cancer cell loves estrogen. It doesn't even have to be breast cancer. It can be ovarian cancer. It can be uterine cancer. In men, it can be prostate cancer. Every cancer loves estrogen. Why? It's a growth hormone. Every chemical. Go in your kitchen, for most people. They've got more cleaning products, air fresheners, sanitizers, you name it. You know, during the virus, I get a headache when I think about it. All these people were, and I still see it today. Go to the hospital. 100 times a day, these poor nurses, they click with the anti-bacterial soaps. I feel like screaming like John the Baptist. Don't do it. Like, stop. You're pouring estrogen into your skin. It's going to go directly into your bloodstream. It's going to make cancer cells grow, grow, grow. Stop it. What's worse, the bacteria or estrogen? Estrogen by a long shot. And I'm not saying don't go wash your hands. I'm not saying that. But, you know, you can't get into an elevator. They got the soap there. And, you know, into the hands, and they do this, you know. You know who's got the highest rates of breast cancer? Nurses. And they never see the correlation. Women, they're sitting ducks for estrogen. And then we get a study says, oh, imagine, here we are in 2024, and more young women are getting breast cancer. And they related directly to estrogen. Well, finally, somebody's saying something. And what are they going to do about it? Nothing. You know, nothing. They're going to talk about, we need to detect this even earlier. Nah. Why don't we prevent it in the first place? More and more young women getting breast cancer. Early puberty is a common denominator. Yeah. I'll tell you something, guys. When you put estrogen with insulin, you got two growth hormones that cancer loves. Cancer cells need fuel, guys. We already know about sugar. But cancer cells need fuel. They love insulin and they love estrogen. And, you know, what's gone out of control? I read a statistic. It's almost breathtaking. 28% of women in the US of A, 28% have PCOS, polycystic ovarian disorder, which is characterized. One thing about polycystic PCOS, polycystic ovarian disorder, okay? One thing for sure, every doctor agrees about this. Too much estrogen and too much insulin. One thing they agree on, yeah, insulin. That's why I know a lot of physicians, a young woman's got PCOS, and where the ovaries are growing, and they give them metformin. They give them metformin, which is a diabetic drug. That gives me a headache. That gives me a big headache. I said, well, why don't we just change their diet? Why do you got to give them a drug that's going to destroy their B12? Why give them a drug that's going to give them a lot of side effects when they're not even diabetic? But their ovaries are diabetic, you see? They are, because they're receptive to insulin. They have insulin resistance, and they need more and more insulin, and insulin is a growth hormone, like estrogen is. And guys, I'm going to tell you something. We're no different than women in this way. When estrogen goes up, in us and testosterone goes down, it's like a teeter-totter, okay? If men have too much estrogen, their testosterone is down. If you've got good levels of testosterone, you don't have to worry, men. You don't have to worry about estrogen. You don't, but you got to keep your testosterone up. In women, the teeter-totter is progesterone. But nobody's ever taught them that, so they don't know. And, you know, that's why they give out the birth control pill like it's candy. And these young girls that are on, that are getting, you know, early puberty, medicine is, oh, we're going to put you on birth control pill, you know, to control those periods. And the side effects of that are crazy. And including cancer and including heart disease. You know, everything's a pill. And I read this story and I feel sorry for the world out there because they're being duped. Here they are, they're saying, well, gee, we got more cancer in young women than ever, more breast cancer than ever in young women. And we think it's due to estrogen. Yep. Yeah. And what are we going to do about it? Well, let's detect it even earlier if we can. Like, what are they going to do? Start recommending mammograms for young girls? There ain't even an ounce of talk, even in this study, about what to do. What to do. How to stop estrogen from taking over your body. Ladies, you think you need estrogen? Of course you need estrogen. But you don't need extra estrogen. That's for sure. Most women are too much of a woman to start off with. And most men are too much of a woman. They're not men. They don't have near enough testosterone. That's a big problem in men today. There's no testosterone left. It's crazy. There's no, you know, most men, a lot of them, they don't, their sperm, they couldn't impregnate a woman if their life depended on it. The sperm counts are going down and down and down and down in men. And testosterone rates are going down and down and down in men. What do you need? Sun, steak, and steel. And sleep. See the books behind me there. No, but guys, I read an article or research like this into young women and I want to scream. I want to scream. I don't want to scream, I told you so. Because I've been on beating this drum for about 40 years. I talked about the dangers of xenoestrogens on a radio show 30 years ago. We're surrounded by it. And today, it's worse. It's not better. It's worse. We're surrounded by these forever chemicals. Chemicals can be wonderful things, you know? The problem is, they're all over the place. They're in the ocean. They're in our water. They're in the soil. They're in, you know, and on this program, I always tell you, unless you're leaving the planet, and guys, if you can afford organic, go for it. I want you to do it. If you got a little piece of land, out in the country, good for you. I'm happy for you. I am. But don't think for 1 minute that you're avoiding or evading these forever chemicals. I don't care where you go. There isn't a drop of the ocean or water, or it don't matter. It doesn't matter. You're still going to be exposed to these, what we call xenoestrogens, forever chemicals, forever plastic, and you're just not going to get away from it. So my advice to any young woman is you better block that. You better block that estrogen, the extra estrogen. Don't worry, your body will produce enough estrogen. Believe you me. You need to, and this is why in breast cancer, they don't even talk about it. The prevention. You better dim that estrogen out. Yeah, you better dim it out. And you better block it as much as you can. Help yourself. Guys, it's one of the reasons I love flax seeds. You guys know that. Am I the only one that talks about flax seeds? And I know I get a lot of pushback. People can't understand. Flax seeds, well, they're phytoestrogens. Doc, that's going to elevate your estrogen. No, it don't. No, it don't. They are very special because they've got 100 times more lignans than any other seed. It's the king of the castle. It blocks estrogen. I used to prove it to patients because I would scan them for estrogen. I could block it and dim. We have it in our menopausal formula. It blocks estrogen. Anyway, okay. I looked at this study, guys, and I said, look, I feel sorry, really do, for young people today. I feel sorry for them. They've been duped. They don't know how to eat. They've been lied to. I'm going to tie this together just for a sec. Look at this. According to a new article, okay, Japanese are destroying the planet because they eat too much meat. Guys, when I read this, you should have seen the steam coming out my ears. Steam. The Japanese are ruining the planet. You know why? Because in Japan, they eat more meat than anywhere else. And you leave it to the powers to be, meat, bad. Except the Japanese are one of the healthiest populations in the world. As a matter of fact, you know what their obesity rates are in Japan? Ours is about, between being overweight and obese, in North America, it's almost 70% of the population. Well, 50% of the population is diabetic or pre. And if you're pre, you're a diabetic. How are we to lecture to the Japanese? Our health is so bad. We're worse than the third world. Right? But when it comes to the climate, the Japanese, you see, you eat meat. Well, then I guess it's the cows that are destroying the climate. Guys, it's the insanity is beyond belief. Japanese, you know what their obesity rate is? 3%. 3%. You know when Japanese get sick? When they come here. and they eat our food. Like, it's so silly, guys. It's so silly. But the reason I wanted to bring this up, okay, with breast cancer, one of the factors in breast cancer, and you'll hear it only here, really, is oxalates. Okay? Oxalates. When they look at dense breast tissue, one of the things they find are oxalates, glass. Oxalates, calcium oxalates are like glass. They'll cut your fingers. I mean, they're microscopic. You don't see them, but they're there. And when they do breast tissue and analyze it, breast cancer patients have high oxalates. Now, I wrote about this in my book, Sun, Steak, and Steel. If you want to be healthy, you need to eat steak. And all these young people, they're being told, well, you see, meat's no good for you. It's acidic. It's bad. Red meat, especially cancer producing. Right? The narrative. And by the way, meat's bad for the planet. So young people, they're being indoctrinated at school. They're eating the opposite of what they should for breast cancer. They're eating the opposite. They're eating way too much from the plant kingdom. But if they were just eating plants, I wouldn't be as upset. But they're eating all this processed foods with nutrient deficient, high omega-6, high inflammatory foods. Go to the middle aisles of your grocery store, from bread to pasta to cereals to you name it, cookies and crackers and all these stupid drinks. But they never put together that food and cancer, there's a direct line. I remember meeting an oncologist in the 90s. It was the first oncologist that I ever met that connected food with cancer, telling his patients, no more sugar. No more sugar. And in those days, in the 90s, they wanted to take his medical license away. You're not supposed to talk like that. Wow. Isn't that crazy, guys? Isn't it crazy? Anywho, more and more young women are getting breast cancer, and they're blaming it on early puberty and estrogen. Hello? Hello? You can't get breast cancer without having too much estrogen. You can't get breast cancer, in my opinion, without having too much insulin. You just can't. Okay, I'm breathing. We got a great week because I had about five or six new studies and I didn't get to them. But what's new? Okay? I got down a rabbit trail and I couldn't come off of it. Okay, guys. By the way, send your questions in, okay? info@martinclinic.com. We appreciate you. If you're not a member of our private Facebook group, please join. We love to have you. And we appreciate you guys big time. Okay? Man, we love our audience. Thank you for all your feedback. We appreciate it. Okay? We do. And when you get on our Doctor is in podcast. Leave us a review. It helps with the proliferation of the show. Yeah, the numbers grow and grow and grow. Okay? Guys, we love you. We'll talk to you soon.